This edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by BetterHelp, affordable online private counseling. Get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/MacVoices. Mac Voices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. Get $50 off your first job post at linkedin.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 of MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide number 5 with Patrice Brend'Amour and Rosemary Orchard. The first couple rounds were interesting. The next couple rounds get even more interesting as we name some unusual picks for you to give and get this holiday season. So let's get right back to it. So, Patrice, round 3.
Okay, round 3 is a brand new book. It's the new book by Barack Obama called A Promised Land. The first of 2 volumes that were announced. So I don't know, I actually don't remember when the next one will be released, sometime next year probably. But it takes you basically through, I think, like the campaign, like his initial campaign and everything, and then to I think somewhere in the his first period, if I remember correctly. I haven't finished it yet, but it is so far a really, really good book. The audiobook is amazing because he reads it himself. So that's always good. If the same with Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, which was really good. She read that herself as well. But as I said, it's just well written, takes you back to certain events and certain things. Shows also a little bit the human side. He tried to, as much as he can, not just talk about the events and what's going on, but also what was going on in him, in his family, what was happening with his wife and his kids, and how he made certain decisions and all of that, and the human side, also the people that he worked with. He points out even in the first couple of chapters, quite a few people that he worked with and really enjoyed working with, and some interesting stories there. So. Yeah, good times, I can only say. Takes you back. And yeah, the book it's not exactly cheap if you buy it hardcover or paperback even. It's $27, I think. But I got the audiobook and I got it with a credit, so I on Audible didn't have to spend that much.
Great. One that a lot of people obviously will be very interested in. So.
I think so too, yeah. I think it's on all bestseller lists already, but if you don't have it yet and you're interested, you might not be, and that's fine. But if you're interested, it's a good book.
Great. Rosemary, round 3.
All right. My next one looks suspiciously like a Christmas tree bauble, except it's not. It's a MagSafe charger. So if somebody in your life has got one of the fancy new iPhone 12s, or they don't have one of the new iPhone 12s, but they do have a phone that's capable of Qi charging, the MagSafe charger is also a Qi charger. And that's Qi spelled QI, because that's how that works. Don't ask me. I am a lingua specialist and I don't understand it. But that's beside the point. The Qi charger is actually a nice charger. It just magnetizes to the back of your iPhone. And I find some people have been complaining that you cannot get this off one-handed. You need 2 hands to pick up your phone. I find if I just slide a finger behind my phone and then pop, it slides off. Now I'm holding my phone up so that it doesn't slide off as easily. But it works. It works really well. It's very nice. It charges my phone nice and quickly because I am using the 20-watt charger. But even if you have an old 18-watt charger that came with a previous iPhone, it will still charge your phone at a reasonable speed. And if you have something like AirPods or AirPods Pro that will do Qi charging, then you can just pop those on there as well. And voila, this is a convenient little size comparison for you. It is a circular version of the size of the AirPods. And I love this. And a bonus tip for people is the back of this is magnetic. Now, some of you may see where I'm going already. Some of you may not see where I'm going already, and that's okay. I'm going to explain it. In my car, I do not have CarPlay. It's an old car. It's 10 years old. Getting CarPlay would be more than 10% of the value of my car. It is not worth it. Far from worth it. But I still want maps. I still want music. So what I've done, I bought a magnetic car mount. And then I got this, and this just sticks to the magnetic car mount, and then my phone sticks to this. Now, this sounds horrendously unstable, from my personal tests, which involved swinging my iPhone from the MagSafe charger, which was attached to the car mount, over my sofa, because I'm not completely stupid, I have not managed to dislodge my phone or the MagSafe from the magnetic dock in my car. Now, the magnetic dock I've got is an NPOW one, but you can try a variety of different ones. Mine fits in my CD player because I don't use CDs, I use Bluetooth. And I had to buy a separate Bluetooth adapter for that, but that's a whole other story. But this works really well, and these are great. And especially when we start traveling again, this is going to be my best friend, because it is great for keeping, everything, charged and very easily without fumbling for cables. This will be living on my nightstand in hotels, because you just drop your phone on it, it magnetizes into place, and you'll wake up with a charged iPhone. Because there's nothing worse than wanting to go out for a day of exploring, which hopefully we'll get to do next year, and realizing your phone is dead, so you have no maps, and not being able to figure out where you're going. And that's terrible. And then being tethered to a battery pack all day. Sure, keep a battery pack in your bag, keep a spare cable in your bag, but the MagSafe charger is going to be living in my travel kit, because this is a really lovely device, and it's very small as well, so it works really well.
I'm kind of wondering whether you could throw that with a battery pack in your purse, and just if that happened and you didn't have didn't have a charge
providing your battery pack has a USB-C out. Now that is the catch. So modern battery packs, a lot of them have got USB-C in. Fewer have USB-C out, but quite a few have USB-C in and out. But you need to read the description. If it's just got one USB-C port on it, then triple check to make sure that the USB-C is also an output port, because otherwise you will be there like I was with the first battery pack that I bought with USB-C, going, why is this not charging? And the answer is because it's an input-only port. And sometimes, in most cases, if it's in and out, you have to press the button that checks the charge level on the battery, and then plug in your cable, and then you're good to go. But if you do it the other way around, then especially if you plug into a MacBook, it will drain the charge from the MacBook. Ask me how I know this, because I accidentally charged my battery pack from my MacBook instead of the other way around. It can be a bit of a trick, but yes, this is quite nice. And I like the fact that, it does easily attach to your phone, so that you can just, pop it down and it's charging, because it's got that satisfying magnetic click, which appears to have popped up in 2 of my picks today.
Rosemary, when you held your phone up, I noticed you have a case.
Yes, so I do have the MagSafe case on it.
It is the MagSafe case.
It is the Apple Silicone MagSafe case, where if you pop it on your phone, then it will, light up. And just to be clear, I do not have a cushion or a pillow or anything here. I have my desk. This is the phone, just the phone with the MagSafe charger, and it sticks just as well despite that glass back. So I am not worried about this at all. I should note the MagSafe cable is not plugged into anything, but otherwise it would have lit up with that beautiful charge sign, which is nice. But no, it works really well. So I'm very pleased with it.
Okay, great. I've not exactly off topic, but are you happy with the MagSafe case as a case?
Yes, yeah, it works really well. The only way that I can tell that it's MagSafe, actually, sorry, there's 2 ways. Inside, there's the circle, and then when I put it on my phone, if my phone is locked, then I get the color of the case appear on the screen with a circle inside it. And this is going to be very difficult to demo, so I'm going to try and do it anyway, live on air, 0 rehearsal for this. Are we ready? This is going to fail massively, so let's give it a go. If I do this, it should... Voila.
There we go.
I actually managed it. I managed it live on air with 0 rehearsal. Yay, go me. So yes, so that works. And it's pretty. And I got the Plum one with the Pacific Blue iPhone. It's a very nice color combination. Kind of hard to see, but there we go. 4K web cameras are useful for something.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So I'm going to jump a little bit off tech, sort of off tech. During lockdown, I don't know about you all, but my schedule got disrupted. I found a new schedule, and there's so much news and information coming at you. And Patrice, this is something that someone recommended on one of the British Tech Network shows, and I have really come to appreciate it. It's a newsletter. It's a newsletter called The Morning Brew. And it is short. It is sweet. It is not quite analytical in little bits and pieces. Not, there are a couple humorous little things, but they don't get too cutesy, which is an absolute turnoff for me because I just want to know what I should know. And there's some finance, there's some tech, there's a little bit of everything. It's a very well-rounded newsletter. And I know I have to admit, I was a bit skeptical because the last thing I need is one more thing in my inbox. But I find that in the morning, I sit down at the computer and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've covered and why and what information, what insight. Already, it's served me well in a couple areas where I learned something that either I didn't know or would pass through the mainstream news that wouldn't catch my attention. And so I got to tell you, this is a great little thing. It is absolutely free. So I'll have a link in the show notes to go and sign up for it. And I have not found them abusing my email at all because I did sign up with a specific email address to determine whether it was going to be a spam factory, and it absolutely has not been. So I don't know these folks. There's no kickback, no nothing. I just have to tell you, I've been impressed with the content and with the fact that they seem to be doing what they say. Mm-hmm. So the Morning Brew, yeah. I think you will enjoy it.
I can only second that. I think I might have been the person who recommended it on BTN. Yeah. I've been really enjoying it. They've branched out a little bit. They have a second newsletter now with like recommendations for things to buy and whatever. If you're into that, I'm blanking on the name.
Emerging Tech Brew.
Could be.
Uh-oh.
I'm subscribed to that one.
Okay. The only thing I think you should be aware of, some people might be like hesitant to do that or to sign up for it. They have sponsors, and there's always like a sponsor and like some sponsored content, but they mark it usually very clearly. You can see, okay, this is sponsored by, and you can just skip it. Like, I mean, it's not like a massive amount. It's like a little few bits and pieces here and there. So. I mean, they have to make some money somewhere, and I'm totally fine with that.
Well, and that's fair, and that's a great point. I guess I sort of get to the point that I figure everything has to be sponsored by something, especially if I'm not paying for it. Mm-hmm. And that was the point I was making about that this is one of those things where I don't feel like I'm the product. Yeah. So yeah, they do put something in front of you, but. They do it in a very tasteful fashion so that you're right. You can skip right over it, mm-hmm. or if they are putting it in front of you, it's an informative put. Yeah. And I don't find that offensive at all. So if you were the one, Patrice, thank you. I'm really not sure who did. It was one of those things I wrote down and then I got to mm-hmm. it a week or two later. It's like, okay, let's try this. So
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Rosemary, obviously you knew about it. How did you find out about it? Do you know?
I have absolutely zero recollection as to how Emerging Tech Brew crossed my path. I'm suspecting it was a recommendation from somebody on Twitter, or somebody just posted about it on Twitter and I found it. But I didn't realize that they had a regular news one, so I've just signed up for that. And this absolutely leads nicely into my next pick. So I'm going to stop there and hold that one.
Okay, great. This edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by our sponsor, BetterHelp, affordable, online, private counseling. What is interfering with your happiness? BetterHelp gets it and can help no matter what it is. They have counselors who specialize in issues from self-esteem to LGBT matters, sleep problems to grief. And they do it from the comfort of the online channel you prefer, phone or video chat. It's all about what's right for you and your situation. Sometimes people don't hit it off. That's completely natural, and BetterHelp recognizes that. If you and your counselor aren't a good match, just request a change. It's that easy. No confrontation, no guilt. Again, it's all about what's right for you. BetterHelp's counselors are all licensed professionals, and they're available worldwide. So no matter where you are, you can find someone to assist you within 24 hours of signing up. And if it needs to be said, BetterHelp sessions are all private and confidential, just like any in-person counseling. And if you need help between scheduled sessions, you can send a message to your counselor and get a timely response, in addition to whatever regular times the two of you have set up. You can start living a happier life today. As a Mac Voices listener, you will get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/MacVoices. Over 1 million people have taken charge of their mental health, You can too by visiting betterhelp.com/MacVoices. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MacVoices. Thanks to BetterHelp for their sponsorship of MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Make your next great hire at LinkedIn Jobs. Is your business hiring, either during the normal course of business for this year, or are you starting to get ready for next year? There's only one place you should be checking out, and that's LinkedIn Jobs. By using targeted screening questions, LinkedIn Jobs helps you get your opportunity in front of the best, most qualified candidates. That means that you make your hire easier and faster without having to wade through a lot of the maybes to find the yeses. With LinkedIn Jobs, you not only can manage your job posts and candidate contacts from a simple view in the already familiar LinkedIn website, but you can also do it from your mobile device, so you don't have to be at your desk or in your office. And who's in their office these days? LinkedIn is my choice not only for the ease of use, but also for the fact that they have an active community of professionals that number over 722 million. No matter where you are or what your job, LinkedIn is going to find not only candidates, but good, qualified candidates. Visit linkedin.com/MacVoices to get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/MacVoices to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for their support of MacVoices. So this is round 4, and this is where it seems to get interesting because most of our guests come with a list of picks that in case somebody steals something from them. So now you get to pick one more thing that you think absolutely deserves to be in the gift guide. So Patrice, number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is something I'm honestly surprised wasn't on the list of things already picked. We kind of talked about it. I know, Chuck, you have yours. It's the AirPods. This is the AirPods Pro. And like the Pro, I've had the original AirPods. The Pros are so much better. They fit better. They sound better. Yeah, they're a little bit more expensive. And depending on your budget, might be too much. I totally understand. These are worth it. This is how I listen to every podcast, to every audiobook every day. I do meetings with it. I do a lot of things with it. This is it. And this is probably the best purchase I've done the entire year. I bought them this year and absolutely used them, loved them. I had a minor issue with charging one of them, and Apple just replaced the entire thing. They just replaced the case and the AirPod. No questions asked. Took a day or two. Absolutely worth it. The seamless connection. If you have never had AirPods, then you probably don't know that. Now with Big Sur, even between your Mac and other devices, you can basically I can listen to music or to podcasts and then pick up my iPad and start watching a TV show and it automatically switches. But it doesn't always do that. If I'm on whatever, Instagram, and there's a video playing, auto playing, it does not switch because it knows that I'm not actively watching that. So it really depends. It's smart enough, the iOS is smart enough to understand what I'm actively watching and what is more background videos. So absolutely, hands down, the best thing I've bought this year.
That's quite a recommendation.
Yeah, AirPod Pros are definitely my favorite. I have both the AirPods and the AirPods Pro because I got these before the AirPods Pro were a thing. And these are the wireless charging ones, so V2 of the AirPods, and they're great. And I love my AirPods Pro as well. If anyone's curious, this is a PopSocket case which has a little key thing on the back, so you could actually attach this to the back of your phone and use it as a kind of PopSocket. It feels kind of clunky to do that, but it came with a key ring and then I actually keep these usually on my key ring. I actually brought them in for the MagSafe recommendation, and then had to get them out of the case, which took a little longer than anticipated, but I managed it.
Rosemary, hold that PopSocket thing up again.
Okay, so this is the front. I'll just do this so we can see the light. That's charging point, and then this is the back. So there's a circular part. I don't have it handy, unfortunately. It's all my keys out in the hallway, where you just place it on, and then you twist a little bit, and then your phone or your your AirPods are attached to this circular disc, which is on your keyring. And I really like that for just always having a pair of AirPods with me. So these ones have become my go anywhere AirPods, and then my AirPods Pro live usually either on my desk, or if I'm moving around the house with my laptop, then they'll go in my laptop bag that I drag everywhere.
That's actually the first PopSocket thing I've seen that I really am intrigued by and like. And my first thought would be, gee, okay, so it's potentially my AirPods could fall out, but no, they're not going to, because first of all, you've got a magnetic lid, and then you have the AirPods themselves that are pulled in magnetically and held there. So that's the
case
nice.
Open. I'm shaking my AirPods upside down. I could do this with the Pros as well, but they're not going anywhere. The only way that they'll go somewhere is if they pop open and then like you manage to somehow like flip an AirPod out, and then it could go somewhere. But I find that the way that the keyring is shaped, if I put it so it's circular disc with a little part that comes up. I really wish I had it with me. It's not my pick, to be clear. But if I put it so it's up this way, then it just makes it a little bit more difficult for that to open. I can still do it with my hands, but it's not going to happen by accident. So.
I think the only way how that can happen is if you drop them. Like I've dropped them in my case a couple of times, they might pop out, but that's literally the only time.
Yeah, same. And that's why I have them attached to my keyring, so they don't just drop because I don't drop my keys, at least usually. I have a lanyard to help.
All right, great.
All right.
So let's see, Rosemary, this is your last pick.
All right. Well, my last pick ties in very nicely to the Morning Brew and Emerging Tech Brew, which is FeedBin. Now, FeedBin is a great gift for all sorts of people. So if you are an RSS reader fan, then FeedBin is a great backend. Also, you can just use their website and their apps, but it integrates into things like NetNewsWire and all the other great apps. Personally, I just use NetNewsWire on iOS and Mac. I love it. It's great. But FeedBin is a wonderful backend. It's $5 a month, or you can get a discount if you pay for the year up front. But one of the things I really love about it is it has an email address. So you can put that email address in for a variety of different newsletters, and then those newsletters will not go to your email inbox where you're dealing with people and having to reply to things. Those newsletters will pop up in your RSS reader. So that could be things like Club Mac Stories, 512 Pixels, the Morning Brew or the Emergency Tech Brew, or anything like that, where you've got these fabulous email newsletters that people put their heart and soul into creating. And you can have that pop up in your RSS newsreader so that you have all of them. And that means that you can easily go back and look through back issues as well. And I just really love that feature. And I still follow lots of RSS feeds as well. I've got Mac Rumors in there. I've got iMore. I've got Daring Fireball. I've got MacSparky.com. And I also put podcasts in there as well, because podcasts are based on RSS feeds. So I know when a new episode of Mac Voices comes out because it pops up in NetNewsWire for me. And that is great, because then I just spot it and it's all run through this FeedBin backend. And I just find FeedBin to be a rock solid service. It syncs extremely quickly. There's no delay on things, and it works so well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I would not have thought of putting your newsletters in with your RSS feeds. Makes perfect sense. It just never occurred to me.
Well, there you go. It's a wonderful tool, and I really like it. So I would highly recommend it.
And I mean, if you're like, even if you're switching between RSS readers, like, I don't know, you use, let's say, NetNewsWire on a Mac, but on iOS you prefer Newsify, for example. Yeah, you just use FeedBin, and it has the same exact feeds on all devices.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can plug this into a variety of different apps, but you can also just go to the feedbin.com website and read things there, which means that, for example, if you are on your work machine and you need to wait for something to compile, or somebody to finish deploying a server or something, and you think, well, I've got a little bit of time, instead of browsing social media, I'm going to go to my personally curated by me for me list of news, and see what we can do here and just see what I can read. Then I just pop over to FeedBin and boom. And I don't need to install an app for it. I can just go to the website and log in, and it's lovely.
I want to tweak that just a little bit, because not for a product, but just for a way of thinking. I love the idea that you found a way to, make yourself a little more productive in those spaces instead of just going and killing time on Facebook or whatever. And I'm a bit obsessive about that. I seem to have a list of things, whether it's my Sane Later email box or RSS feeds or whatever, that if I have a few minutes, it drives me crazy when you hear these people talking about, this is a game I play in line at the grocery store. And it's like, you're wasting time. Do something productive, because you have to do some of this stuff. So I love the idea that you could take FeedBin and pile all this stuff in it. And that way you've got just one place to go, and you're always going to have something useful, informative to do to help you use that time.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also just filter for things that are unread, or you can star things. And I believe you can even integrate it with read it later systems. I'm just double checking my settings now because I'm sure I set something up at some point. That was it. I use FeedBin as my read it later system. And so I have a little bookmarklet called Send FeedBin, which will send an article to FeedBin. So if I'm reading something, somebody sent me a link to something and I start reading it and think, this is great. Wow, this is a longer article. I really want to come back to this. I send it to FeedBin and I have my own personal list of things I want to read later in FeedBin so that I can just pop in and read it all there. And I really like that. So.
Very nice. Very nice. So looking at my list, there's so many things I feel like I could tie into some of the discussions here or some of the gifts, but I'm going to go with the idea that I'm finding more and more value in convenience and more value in things that I don't have to think about. And so that's why I'm going to suggest that regardless of how you do it, you buy more than the standard iCloud storage. Now you can do that through some of the Apple One packages. You can buy it just as additional iCloud storage. But I love the idea that my iPads, my iPhone, everything that I need there is automatically backed up to the cloud. And I started to run into some problems when I was having minimal storage with photos and with other things that just, would obviously fill it up and then they weren't backed up. And if I needed evidence of this, it was transitioning over to my new iPhone 12 because I did not have to restore from a backup necessarily. I just put one phone down beside the other and everything sort of transferred. Now, some of it was, of course, going phone to phone, but a lot of the things were then pulling down from iCloud. All my photos came, the photo thumbnails came down from iCloud. It is so nice and convenient. And it's one of those things that if you're really tight on the budget, then I get it. But if you can, just the idea that you have that convenience. And I'm experimenting a little bit with putting more and more of my documents in iCloud. Like I might have before Dropbox, so that they are accessible no matter what Mac I'm on, no matter what device I'm on, they are right there. And that means, of course, you have to have that. And really, I know there's some folks out there that say some storage is cheaper, but you also are talking about security here. So if I have confidential material, business-related material that I feel like I would like to have accessible in that fashion, but that I'm really not completely comfortable with some of the other services, I can put it on iCloud and feel pretty darn good that it's got Apple security behind it. So it's one of those things. You can scale it as you wish. You can buy it as you wish. You can combine it with some of the other Apple services. That's fine too. But definitely put this at the head of the list for whichever one of those that you choose is more iCloud storage.
Yeah. I recently upgraded to the 2 terabyte plan, and that was prompted by the fact that I added a second security camera to my network. And it turns out that if you have one camera and you want to use HomeKit Secure Video, that's fine on the 200 gigabyte plan. But if you have 2 to 5 cameras, and the 5 cameras is the limit, you need the 2 terabyte plan. And if you have the 2 terabyte plan, then that means that everything just backs up and there's no worries. And I have all of my photos there. It's great. Definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
Is the 2 to 5 security camera, is that because of the space, or is that a requirement of iCloud? That it just,
iCloud, if you try to add a second camera which supports HomeKit secure video to your home and you set it to stream and record, then it will prompt you to upgrade to the 2 terabyte plan. If you don't upgrade to the 2 terabyte plan, then you can only stream from other cameras. You can't record from them as well. And I thought, if it is, somebody does break into my house, very unlikely, extremely unlikely. The cameras were mostly for, research purposes. At least that's what I'm telling my accountant. Then it's handy to have the recording function there as well. And in my case, I was there looking at it and going, I really ought to have 2 terabytes because I was using 175 gigs of the plan. Now, I do have a lot of iCloud devices attached, all doing backups. Some of them just doing very minimal things because they're secondary devices used for recording. Others, they're my primary devices with all of my data on. But I throw everything in iCloud now, and it's great.
Yeah. I can absolutely only second that, especially with family sharing. I don't have to, for my family, I don't have to even care about backups. I just know because I pay for our iCloud storage, and because they're in my family, everything gets backed up. I could see it, it shows up, it's there, but I don't have to think about it. It's just done. And that's a huge relief because otherwise you would have to pester everybody and make sure, hey, did you plug it into the Mac and whatever, or did you back it up any other way? And this way I'm just no, it's done.
Yeah. There's no, Mom, why did you uninstall the Dropbox app? Stop uninstalling the Dropbox app. That's how I keep your photos safe. It just does it. So yes, yes, I may have discussed this with my family before. Please stop uninstalling the apps that I use for backups. And then, I changed my mind and said, I'm just here's a big iTunes voucher. Pay for iCloud storage. And they do. And that's great.
Yeah, and I feel obligated to make the point. If we sound a little schizophrenic, because we all recommended Backblaze a couple of minutes ago, and now we're talking about iCloud, I see them as two completely different things. And even if you don't, that still means your stuff is backed up twice in the cloud, which is not a bad thing. But iCloud is kind of more of a working storage space as opposed to a true backup, where Backblaze is an actual backup. So. It's not schizophrenic. It's maybe it's paranoid, but it's not schizophrenic. So.
Well, I mean, 1 copy is basically no copy, and 2 copies is a backup.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 is 1 and 1 is none. You must have extra copies of these things because what is the one thing you don't want to lose? Your photos. Your contacts, all of the information that you actually use to make your life easy. How many people actually know their own phone number, let alone know the phone number of their emergency contact? It's so much easier to pay a little bit of money every month and know that everything's backed up. And should your device, be lost or stolen, or completely and utterly smashed beyond repair, and you cannot recover data from it, you've got a backup from the night before because you put it on charge overnight and it just automatically did the backup.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have your iCloud password somewhere.
Yes. And with 2-factor authentication, ideally, make sure you've got that backup password saved, and or a old device somewhere at home that is still signed into your iCloud account that you plug in every once in a while and you check and make sure it works, because that's how I am making sure that I can get into my parents' accounts, because they have a spare iPhone I have a spare iPhone that they don't know about that I can get into their accounts with, because just in case they should be fine. But I just kept a spare iPhone because it's old and I don't need it for anything else. So it's just signed into my mom's account, and an old iPod Touch is signed into my dad's account, just in case. Yeah. Never hurts.
Hey. Nope. You're absolutely right.
It's certainly better than throwing the devices away.
Yes. Guys, thank you. This has been a really, I seem to say this at the end of every episode, but it's a lot of diverse picks, and the fact that I find out things that I didn't know about, I absolutely love that. So I think that means that the audience is going to find out things they definitely don't know about. So great. And of course it does cost you a little money, but hopefully it's money you will enjoy spending.
I would say most listeners know what they're getting into, right?
I mean, if you listen to a gift guide episode, you kind of have to expect that you're going to be spending some money. So
yeah, but I feel like with no no disparagement, is that a word? Intended. I find that so many gift guides, kind of hit the obvious things. And I feel like ours some of the obvious ones, sure, they get mixed in and get explained. But then the off the wall stuff or the unexpected stuff is what I love about our panels, because you never know what somebody has stumbled across that is going to be that thing that you just now can't live without. So let's find out where folks can find you when you're not here. Spending my money. Patrice, where can we find you?
So I'm every week on usually both the Big Show and the Mac Show on BritishTechNetwork.com with someone you know as well, Chuck. You join us at least for the Mac Show if you can. And my podcast is the Foodie Flashback, where I discuss food-related memories, like everything that goes with it. Usually no tech, but there's no rule for it. We just talk about food. That is the Foodie Flashback, foodieflashback.com. There is an episode with Chuck already, and I think I have to talk to Rose about that.
Am I allowed to bring chocolate sauce?
Absolutely.
Then I'm in. We're good.
Always.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
Patrice.
everything I do and all the links, thepatrice.com.
Great. Thanks so much, Patrice. At this point, I will definitely say happy holidays. They're coming down on us as this is released. So please, happy holidays and stay safe. Rose, where can folks find you?
The best place to find me and links to all of the things I do is rosemaryorchard.com. And if you're interested to find out more about automation, I have a podcast called The Automators with David Sparks. And if you like productivity, I have a nerdy podcast called Nested Folders with Scotty Jackson. And both of those can be found through all of your standard podcasting apps. So go nuts and have fun automating / being productive, or just enjoy Mac Voices, because I'm sure I'll badger Chuck into getting me back on again at some point.
You never have to badger. You're always welcome. We just have to figure out the time zone thing.
Well, fortunately, I'm an hour closer to you now than I was at the start of the year. Yay for moving countries.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Happy holidays to you and your family as well.
Thank you.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. More gift guides, most likely. I still have some folks that we want to try to get on. We just need to get the scheduling right. And hey, if it ends up being a little bit after the holidays, well, you can take advantage of the after holiday sale. Until then, and as always, thanks for watching.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.